Update. Am I the a-hole for checking out of my relationship after my girlfriend cheated on me? Original post. I, male 31, have been in a relationship with my girlfriend Mia, female 29, for a bit more than 2 years. Overall, life has been good for us, and our relationship has always felt very strong. For most of our time together, I imagined that we'd eventually get married, have kids, and grow old together. Mia said that is what she wanted several times herself. Starting around June of this year, Mia started acting strangely. She became stressed out with her work and became very snappy towards me. I tried my best to be supportive during this time, given that she had just started a new job, but she would constantly pushing me away. I got suspicious when I started noticing how protective she was of her work phone around me. She'd be reading stuff on it all the time, and always looked so happy while doing so. Whenever I would come by, she would quickly lock the screen. This continued for a few weeks, and I'm not proud to admit, but I started shoulder surfing Mia whenever she'd bring out her work phone. And after about a week of this, I learned a password. What's ironic is around this time I was also ring shopping, as I had planned on proposing some point in the fall, but that never panned out. So, one day in August when Mia was out with some of her friends, I took this as an opportunity to go through her work phone, and what I found completely destroyed me. I really don't want to get into details, but in summary, Mia started a relationship with one of her coworkers, Paul. From what I can tell, it went on for about 2 months. Paul kept on pressing her to leave me, but Mia seemed reluctant and kept on giving him excuses for why she couldn't leave, but reassured him that she'd continue seeing him. When Mia came home, I confronted her and she surprisingly owned up to it. She apologized and cried more than I ever remember. She said she never meant to hurt me and that she'd take it back if she could. She claimed that her stress and depression clouded her judgment and that Paul was a loser who couldn't compare to me. I don't remember much of the conversation, but do remember it ending with us agreeing to take a break from each other for a few weeks so that I could gather my thoughts. She moved in with one of her friends that night. The pain and disappointment I felt over the next few weeks were crippling. Over time, I feel like I completely morphed into an angry and bitter person. I honestly don't even recognize myself sometimes. Mia returned back to my apartment at the start of October and apologized again. She said that she couldn't even imagine the pain she brought me and has vowed to never cheat again. I do believe her, as she has asked Paul to not contact her unless it was work-related, and she has been trying her utmost to repair things with me. She is constantly putting in maximum effort to please me and is adamant that there is no one else she'd rather spend the rest of her life with. We have also started couples therapy on Mia's dime. But to be completely honest, I'm checked out of this relationship, as everything about Mia annoys me now, from how she looks to the sound of her voice. At this stage, I've made up my mind that I want to dump her. The experience has spoiled this relationship for me. I've also started chatting with some other women on dating apps. I've been on some dates and spent a few nights away. I'm 90% certain that Mia knows what I'm up to, as I have not been discreet about what I've been doing at all. For example, a few nights ago I was going on a date. I'm guessing Mia knew, as she asked me where I was going. I told her it was none of her concern. She seemed hurt by this but didn't press me any further. She'll randomly say things like, "I love you," or "You mean so much to me," but I either just nod or act like I didn't hear her. I was telling a few of my friends about this last night, and they both think I should just dump her immediately since I'm wasting my own time, and Mia isn't worth getting angry over. One of them suggested that I post here to gain some insights from a wider audience, since it thinks I'm being a bit of an a-hole for dragging this out. So here I am. For those wondering, I'll probably be dumping her and kicking her out of my apartment at some point in January. You're the a-hole. You would have been fine if you just broke up with her, but she's clearly trying to make things work with you, and you are cheating on her and stringing her along. Break up with this poor girl already. Goddamn. Poor girl? She a damn user. And how is she a user? She sees what you did is wrong. She's actively trying to fix it. She's bringing you both to therapy with her own money, and you are cheating on her. Seems like you are the user in this situation. Using me to pay for our living expenses so that she can focus on her student loans. All under the guise of loving me, yet being with another guy on the side. If that isn't using, then I don't know what is. Everyone sucks here, as you're now cheating too. What the heck, dude? Just end things and try to salvage a little integrity. Having been exactly his position, I'll go out on a limb and say he's not necessarily the a-hole. I do believe he should stop messing around and end it though, but only because what he's doing is detrimental to him, not her. We all react to trauma in different ways. Being cheated on by someone you not only loved, but thought you'd spend the rest of your life with, it was ring shopping mind you, almost feel like you've completely lost the person entirely. You legitimately grieve, because the person you thought they were has basically died, and all that remains is a husk of the person you loved. You see cruelly slapped together puppet that smiles with her face, laughs with her voice, and touches with her skin, but it's not them anymore. And you're not even really sure it ever was. Some may even extrapolate this realization to other people and come to terms with the fact that you can't really know or trust anyone. Not completely. This kind of grief can take years to truly recover from. OP, you need to just dump her and move on, for your sake. You'll never really begin to start healing until the ghost of your loved one is out of your life. I'm sorry for your loss. Not the a-hole. You tried with therapy. It didn't work. That's not your fault. It's hers. Nothing to feel guilty about. Honestly, I've made up my mind before therapy. At the time, I low-key just wanted her to waste some money on it. Yeah, it was vindictive, but at the time I wanted to do that. Dude, she blamed cheating on depression and said the guy was pathetic. If she went to him, she couldn't have thought very highly of you. Lol, she said it to make me feel better, I guess. But in retrospect, it's like, you cheated on me with someone who is pathetic by your own admission. Yeah, it's pretty funny for her to say, this guy's pathetic. Then have him be the reason she ruined a relationship. She's admitting she's a slut who is willing to ruin something good for someone pathetic or just too stupid to say no. Glad to hear you are doing well. You'll find someone better. Now for the update. I ended up dumping my girlfriend last night. She was very upset, but I think she knew it was coming. She's been walking in eggshells around me since we got from our break, and I have to admit she was definitely trying to make things work. I'm also fairly certain she knew I was going on dates with other women for the last few weeks because I wasn't being particularly discreet about that. She did cry a little and suggested that we continue therapy, but I declined this offer as I don't think this relationship was salvageable. She's staying with one of her friends across town for now, and they'll be collecting her things on Sunday. She needs to find somewhere new to live as her friend realistically cannot house her for long. And considering how expensive and difficult it is to find somewhere, I suppose it will be tough for her for the next few weeks. I do somewhat regret wasting so much of my time keeping her around and pretending I was getting something out of therapy, but whatever. Can't change the past. I'm just glad she's out of my hair now. I don't blame you for leaving after she cheated. That's an unforgivable thing for me and for a lot of people. However, pretending you wanted to work it out when you weren't and cheating yourself wasn't the way to go. Yeah, they both seem slimy to be honest. It gives me the impression he wanted to just see if he could do better, and if he couldn't, he would forgive. Blah. Meh, the way I see it, there's an element of forfeiture involved. She cheated. I don't think he should have to decide how to handle it based on her feelings. If the cheater gets manipulated and cheated on themselves, that's a-okay with me. Even if she cheated, which is horrible, feigning you wanted it to work and going on dates with other women while still in a relationship makes you a sleazy dude too. In retrospect, it wasn't great for me. But honestly, this experience made me bitter and I'd say a worse person, so it felt right at the time. You can blame her for what you did, but you cannot blame her for your emotionally immature reaction and manipulative tactics. Hoping that you can let go of this in a healthy way and treat your next partner with more dignity and respect than that, regardless of what they do to you. I don't know, I only acted the way I acted because she cheated. The reason she wanted us to work it out was because I was such an excellent partner beforehand. Like I said above, the experience made me bitter. Dude, how can you make the point and still miss it? That is the problem. An experience can make you bitter, yes, but you chose to react in an unproductive manner. You can say to yourself, yeah, I showed her, but you also held yourself back and dated other people while technically still committed. To be honest, that isn't much better than cheating. You mistake me. At the time, I wasn't trying to be the bigger person. I wanted to waste her time and money and let her think that we could work things through. I dumped her because I eventually wanted to move on and was tired of keeping her around. I promise you this feels good for now, but in the long run, I don't gather you learned anything from what happened, and will probably walk right into a similar situation soon. Sticking around while you date other women openly and pretend to go to therapy is a crappy thing to do, regardless of what you did to deserve it, and nothing about you did should make you feel any better. Growth is an option. Now for the last update. My ex came by to collect her things this morning. She texted me last night asking if the morning would be better than the afternoon we had planned. I accepted this since I kind of wanted this out of the way as soon as possible. She came with one of her friends, and they stayed for about an hour. We didn't talk much during that time. They just packed her things and took a few trips downstairs to put them in a car. I stayed in my home office the entire time, as I didn't want to interact with them. Once they finished, my ex came back downstairs alone, left me my second mail keys on the kitchen counter, and called me over to lock the door. We said our goodbyes and she left. She seemed and looked very upset throughout the entire ordeal, but thankfully left quietly. It's now over. My apartment feels kinda strange now. If I'm being completely honest, I'd seriously consider moving myself if it wasn't in such a convenient location. Redecorate instead of moving. Make it your own. Things that you did not like but you did. This. Buy a new bed, sheets, etc. Change the bedroom completely if you can't afford it. Make it your apartment and keep it neat. Fortunately, she's been keeping the house very tidy for the past few weeks, so I don't have much cleaning to do. Though I have started rearranging things and do plan on donating a bunch of this stuff. A new candle or incense will make it smell your own too. Not the a-hole. You did what you had to do. Things will get easier over time. Take solace in the fact you still have your self-respect. The world is full of lonely young women. There's a girl who values you as much as you value her waiting for you. You just have to go find her. Good luck. Thanks, I appreciate it. At this stage, I think I'll probably be taking a break from relationships for a bit. Lol. Not the a-hole. Crazy that people were giving you grief for going on dates when she was still living with you, insisting that you were stringing her along. With this logic, your ex was also stringing you along while she was cheating on you, but none of them brought that up. Lol. Regardless of whether I was stringing her along or not, I don't feel too bad about doing it. I wanted to waste her time and money, and once I had my fill of that, there was no more reasons for us to stay together. Sure, I wasted my own time, but I now feel that we both leave this relationship being burnt versus just me being burnt. You shouldn't feel bad. She didn't care about what she did to you and then try to love bomb you to get you to stay. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not impregnating my high school crush? I, 37 male, am a single father to a beautiful girl, 9 female. She is my pride and joy, and life is great with her. But she is the only one I will ever have as I have been snipped a few years ago. I don't really tell people about it. It's my own business. Not that I don't want any more children, I just don't want any more baby mamas. My daughter's mother and I have an amicable relationship, but it's taken a lot of work and emotional anguish to get here. I can't say the next one would be as amicable, so I made a decision to get myself vasectomized. Maggie, 37 female, has been a crush of mine for the past 20 plus years. She's unmarried, no children, and works as a gymnastics instructor, which keeps her fit. She's just as beautiful as the girl I've fought over in high school. I've moved away while she stayed in our hometown, but we've kept in touch and grown to be really good friends. She adores my daughter and comments frequently on how much my daughter has grown in years, with love reacts and emojis. Nothing out of the norm, I just took it as her being nice. A couple years back, I admitted my crush to her as I feel we're mature enough to be embarrassed by it, or her make fun of it. She took it well, but we never pursued anything from it. That is, until this last Christmas. My daughter and I flew home to spend holidays with my family. My parents were ecstatic to see their granddaughter, and my brother's kids were happy to see their cousin. Maggie saw that I was in town through social media and messaged me. We made a date for lunch when my parents were available to watch my daughter. We met at a coffee shop and she threw her arms around me and put her head on my chest. High school me would have felt a little tight in the pants, but I just hugged her back. Coffee turned to dinner, turned to drinks. In the middle of drinks, the conversation turned intimate when she finally blurted out, "OP, put a baby in me." In between giggles, and I laughed along. I took it as an invite back to her place where we eventually ended up. I introduced Maggie to my daughter and they hit it off really well. I definitely felt this could sprout into a full-on relationship. My daughter isn't used to me dating as most of my time revolves around work and being a full-time father. She supported me pursuing Maggie and explained she can hang out with my parents and her cousins while I did my thing. We split the week between my hotel and her place. I flew back thinking we were going to be a thing for good. The last week she called me sad, telling me she's not pregnant. We did always use protection. I asked if it was a good thing to get pregnant at the beginning of this relationship, and she broke down to confess that her bio clock was ticking and just wanted to get pregnant. She chose me because of how beautiful my daughter is, but it wasn't going to make me raise our child if I didn't want to. She has no intentions for a relationship. Am I the a-hole for not telling her about my procedure and can't give her a baby? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole and run. That's grade A crazy. She essentially used you and it backfired completely. They have doctors and sperm banks for that kind of thing, not your random old friend in social media that's daughter you think is pretty. That's crazy as heck and creepy. And a song sounds in the back of my head. She's a maniac, maniac. Yeah, I wonder why she's still single. Definitely do not agree with people saying Opie should have known and calling abuse, etc. He got the info about baby fever after they, what he thought, started a relationship. How can he know the "put a baby" comment wasn't just a flirt? It's easy to judge in retrospect when you know the details, and specifically as he obviously only presented the things that were said that is relevant for the story, and not everything else in their interaction. If they spent a whole day at night plus several more dates together, talking and interacting, that one single comment wouldn't have been a clue to anything at all. Not the a-hole. Yeah, would have thought she just meant she wanted to have fun in bed, since that seems to be a common term for it lately. Would not have thought she was serious about it. And the vasectomy just paid for itself. Not the a-hole. P.S. Run. She crazy. Am I the a-hole for showing a spreadsheet of everything I pay for and showing their dad doesn't pay for anything? Okay, I'm getting mixed opinions from this. We have 2 kids, 13 and 11. I'm not going to lie, we live a pretty frugal life. All the extra money I make goes into their college accounts or fun weekends. Dad has them once a month and is the fun parent. Can't get his child payments in, but willing to do a surprise trip to Kennywood. It's frustrating, all right. I try not to say anything bad about him, but he has been pushing the narrative that without him and the money he gives me, we wouldn't have the home. It's so false. And now the kids are going, well, Dad pays for this. My last straw is when the kids told me that it's Dad who pays for the home. So I pulled up my budget spreadsheet and includes all the stuff that he pays for. So child support, and he hasn't paid for the past 2 months. The kids were upset for being lied to. And the oldest got in an argument with him since she called to confirm. We got in an argument and he's calling me a jerk. My friends are split on this and I am wondering if I went too far. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The situation sucks. But your ex attacked. You were just defending yourself. So nope. Not the a-hole. He is. The data will speak for itself. And that's why Opie's not the a-hole. If she had gone on the attack and said nasty things about her ex, it would be a little more gray. But all they did was give the kids a basic, factual account of their budget breakdown, so they understood the financial situation and allowed them to form their own thoughts about the subject. Kids are old enough for introductory personal finance 101, will serve them well in future. If he was actually lying and the kids were believing his lies, then absolutely unequivocally not the a-hole. Period. You almost had to do this. He doesn't look bad in their eyes because you exposed him. He looks bad because he lied to begin with, and because he created a situation that he lied about. To add to that, the kids deserve to know what they are dealing with in case they ever need support from him in the future. Honestly, they will either learn now, or they will learn when a kid asks for money for something very important in the future and have their hopes crushed. Better to learn now. Not the a-hole. The truth can hurt sometimes, but the truth is in the facts. As for the back child support you are owed, court order for garnishment would be in order. Working on that. Just want to tag on that my husband stayed quiet about his ex to his kids. He didn't want to say anything negative, didn't want to badmouth her. And that's generally true, but sometimes you gotta say the truth, especially when they're older. He never did. And now there are grown adults who believe that he did nothing to help them and that she was a saint when she was the cheater and want nothing to do with him. Don't make this mistake. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to raise my son's child as I raised my daughter's child? I, 57, have 2 kids, Erica, 24, female, and Dave, adopted, 25, male, with my husband, Liam, 62. When Erica was 16, she got pregnant and decided to keep her baby. I was very upset, as I felt a child would impact her future and she wasn't thinking of the consequences. However, after having her son, Adam, 8, male, she became more responsible, and my husband helped raise Adam while she did high school and part-time when she completed her degree. She now works and supports herself and Adam. Dave announced recently that he and Anna, 25, female, are expecting their first child, and this caused tension in our family. Erica is my daughter from my first marriage and is mixed race, while me, Liam, Anna, and Dave are white. Anna went to the same school as my kids and made comments about both Erica and Adam's heritage and shaming Erica for being a teen mom. Dave told us that Anna has grown as a person and that she has changed. But Erica refused to be around Anna spending holidays with her mom and was angry that Dave would have a relationship with Anna after what he did. Anna has apologized after that talk, but Erica feels the apology is insincere and too late, but does now attend family events and mostly ignores Anna, though will not allow Adam to be near her. I am struggling to balance both relationship with my kids. Anna and Dave recently invited us all to their gender reveal, and I thought this would be a good way to move forward as a family, and we all agreed to attend. After the gender reveal, Dave asked Liam and I for our car keys, said he wanted to load some of the baby shower presents in our car. I was confused and asked why. Apparently, both he and Anna thought that like we helped raise Adam, we would help raise their new baby. So they wanted to load our car with some of the diaper/baby clothes for when we look after our new grandchild. We told them no, as we are too old now, and that they are both financially stable to look after the new baby. While we are happy to occasionally help out, they should be responsible for their own child, as they are old enough. Dave said that him and Anna have lots of student debt and can't afford to take time off and needed childcare more, as Erica got a single-parent grant to help pay tuition. They called me and Liam unfair as raising a child is expensive now and that we should help out. Dave said we ruined Anna's big day as an expecting mom and that we should have at least said no in private, but thinks that at least for the first few years we should be hands-on grandparents. Dave also accused us of favoring Erica over him, even though we said the situations are both different. I am about to retire, and Liam and I have had plans for years about going back to our home country, which they both know. I would have said I wasn't right here, but even Erica thinks we are being too harsh on Dave and Anna. I'm thinking, what the heck did I just read? If Dave is old enough to not use protection, he sure as heck is old enough to raise his child. Both him and Anna. You are not the a-hole. The situations were vastly different. How could they even expect this of you? Same. Dave and Anna are grown adults who are financially stable and perfectly capable of raising a child, as Opie said. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how they justified Opie and husband basically raising their kid in their heads. I don't understand how two 25-year-old adults came to that conclusion. Opie is not a-hole. To add to this, they just assumed. If they really feel that this should be what the grandparents do to be fair, maybe sit down and ask if they'd be willing to do this before packing all the baby things in a grandparent's car. On one level, I'm hoping this is an unplanned pregnancy, because if it was planned and they didn't have this discussion before they started trying, it makes them even worse. Wow, entitled. Not a-hole. Any of the following reasons are enough on their own. Combined, it's an especially compelling case of not a-hole. 8 years have passed since you took on that role to support your daughter, and you're about to retire. David is at a very different stage of life to what Erica was. This also reads as though Erica was a single parent as well as still in school, correct me if I'm wrong, whereas David and Anna will raise their child together as employed humans at the adult variety. You have valid reasons to feel uncomfortable around David's wife, which could possibly complicate the arrangement. They knew you had plans to return to your home country for a period. And the main one? They didn't even ask. They hadn't even discussed how this would work with you. We should have at least said no in private. How about them asking in private? Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to try and keep my kids quiet so my sister-in-law could sleep? My sister-in-law, her husband, and their kid currently live with myself, my husband, and our 3 kids. Their house burnt down, and it's in the process of being rebuilt. They've been here 2 months. My sister-in-law works overnights 3 nights a week. Her husband doesn't work. I work from home, and my husband works 5 to 6 days a week installing docks. Now, even on the days that sister-in-law doesn't work, she insists that my kids remain quiet and don't make noise at all, because she will insist on sleeping until 4 to 5 p.m. after going to bed at 11 p.m. the night prior. She claims it's because her body can't handle the sleeping schedule, but she refused to switch to day shifts. I'm honestly freaking sick of trying to keep my kids quiet, literally all day and most of the afternoon, so she can sleep, while I'm trying to work on top of that. My son has ADHD and he is off the walls most of the time, so I'm constantly having to stop what I'm doing, work, to go and correct my kid for having fun in his own house. I told my husband this wasn't working and that we needed to sit down with the sister-in-law and tell her this isn't working out and come up with an alternative. So we sat her down yesterday and basically told her she has 3 options. Either buy noise-canceling headphones, put a camper in our property and sleep out there, or change her work schedule. Because I will not be telling my kids to be quiet from sunup till sundown anymore. She said she can't sleep with headphones, doesn't want to change her schedule due to the pay differential, and can't afford a camper. I basically told her those were her options. Take it or leave it. Today I did not try to keep my kids quiet. I shouldn't have to in their home. Sister-in-law comes down complaining because she can't sleep, and I pretty much told her tough luck. I gave her options, and she refused all of them. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Beggars can't be choosers. You've taken her in after the fire, which is the decent thing to do, but it is her children's house first, and she needs to remember that. Keeping your kids quiet 24/7 for the indefinite future is a non-starter. Besides, when she gets tired enough, she'll sleep. Agreed. Also, some additional things that might help. Earplugs and white noise machine. There is a 4th option. They can live somewhere else. And why isn't her husband working? Is he a stay-at-home dad? Not the a-hole. He hasn't worked as long as I've known him, 8 years. No reason behind it. I feel like another option, if he's at home too, I'd have him manage the kids, take them to the park, local pool, etc. Nice idea, but let's be real. Any person who remains willfully unemployed after their house burns down and being forced to stay with in-laws is not someone who is going to step up and take an additional parental duties. Info, is your sister-in-law and her family contributing to your household in the form of rent or anything else? Not that it really matters, because you're right that it's your kids' home and they shouldn't have to be quiet in it all the time. She helps with around $200 worth of food a month because we eat all meals together. Other than that, no. Definitely not the a-hole. She's pretty much freeloading and trying to dictate the rules here. She can get her own apartment if she wants to control her environment. Otherwise, she's a guest. Last story. Am I the a-hole for expecting to meet my grandchild? My 42 male son, J18, is having a baby with his girlfriend Kate, 18. I will be honest in saying I don't think they are ready for this. They have been together for less than a year, but she is due in July. Obviously, I know that things happen, so we are doing our best to embrace it. And I'm excited to meet this new little person. Anyways, Kate's family isn't involved. They honestly weren't great parents to begin with. When they found out, they kicked their pregnant 17-year-old to the streets. My son and her were living with me until 2 weeks ago when they got their first apartment. I'm extremely proud of them. We had a room set up for the baby, but since they got their own place, I let them take all the baby items I purchased. I mean a fully furnished nursery, and then of course everything from the shower. The baby isn't going to be wanting for much. Well, the baby is breech. They have tried everything to get that baby to turn, but nothing. So they have a C-section scheduled for July 3rd, assuming the baby doesn't flip or she goes into labor. I requested this day off of work and then asked my son and Kate if they would like me to pick them up or if they plan to have my son drive them. My son was confused and told me that he would drive them. Why would I drive them? I told him I was just offering and told him I'd be in the waiting room waiting for her to get out of the surgery. Then Kate jumped in and said they weren't having any visitors at a hospital. She said she needed time to heal, and they wanted to bond with the baby. She said it would just be the two of them and her sister. I'll admit I was pretty taken aback. I mean, I feel like as the grandparent, I'm closer than the aunt, but whatever. I said okay because I didn't want to fight, and said I would be waiting at their house. Kate jumped back in again and said the only visitor they would be having was her older sister. She said she would be in pain, bleeding, and trying to breastfeed, and that she wanted privacy to do that. She also said that I never got my TDAP booster, which I don't need as I had it maybe 5 years ago when I had to go to the ER for a cut. So I couldn't come until the baby had his first shots or I got the shot. I pointed out to her that if she didn't have a natural birth, that she wouldn't be bleeding, and it would just be a surgery recovery. She could stay in the bedroom and relax, and my son could bring her the baby when it's hungry. She told me that nobody was taking her newborn from her. Lots of other things were said, and I feel extremely taken advantage of. I sheltered and provided for her and my son when I didn't have to, Plus, I give to them a lot. And I see a lot of other narc tendencies from her. And I feel like it's World War III with my poor boy caught in the middle. I don't feel like an a-hole, but she and my son are saying I am. Am I the a-hole? You absolutely bleed after a C-section, first of all. Second of all, you're the a-hole, and it sounds like your poor boy is on his girlfriend's side. Stop taking it so personally. Yep, I bled for 5 weeks. 5 weeks? I am so jealous. I bled for 9 to 10 weeks. So we get to bleed just like a natural birth, but also get the fun of recovering from a hair abdominal surgery at the same time. And of course, the doctor comes into my room just a few hours after delivery, telling me how I'm a good candidate for a VBAC. I'm like, nope, one and done, my good sir. I don't even need to read past the title to know you're the a-hole. However, I did. This is a classic you owe me parent behavior. Yikes, back off before you do more damage. Right? Good people. I do things to help because I care about my son and his family. OP? I do things to help because I want to guilt my son and his family into catering to my demands. You should have warned them your generosity came with a lot of strings attached. How about you show this new-to-be mom some respect and privacy while recovering from a life-altering event? You're the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for calling my father-in-law a bastard after he pressured us into getting a paternity test? In my husband's family, you inherit from your grandparents. My husband's father got into his head that our son was the product of me having an affair. He said that he would not set aside money for him unless we got a paternity test. My husband told his father to go screw himself and we cut him off. It has been a couple of years now and he wants back into our lives, but he still wanted a paternity test. My husband and I talked about it, and we agreed under the condition that when it turned out that my husband was the father, the money for our son would be in an irrevocable trust for his future, even though obviously his grandfather has not passed away. He agreed, and we did a test sort of like 23andMe, but more reputable and private. It just so happens that my son is indeed my husband's child, but he is not related to a bunch of his paternal relatives. My husband's mom is a saint, and she divorced her jackass ex a long time ago. Father-in-law immediately started crapping on her for cheating, since obviously the tests show that my husband was illegitimate. 2 tests later, and the results are back, and my father-in-law is definitely my husband's father. My father-in-law, however, is not the offspring of the man he always thought was his dad. We had a legally binding contract, so my son has inheritance waiting for him when he turns 25. We saw my father-in-law over the holidays, and he was complaining about how he had to liquefy some of his assets to set up the trust fund. I said that if he had just accepted his grandson and hadn't been such a bastard about it, then we would all have been happier. He got very quiet and very angry. He said I was being very rude to insult him like that. I said that he had been rude to insinuate that I was cheating on my husband, and that technically he was indeed a bastard. He is furious with me, and mad at my husband for letting me talk about him that way. My husband told him that he brought this all on himself, and that if he wants to be in our lives, he will treat us all with respect. He followed up that since we have the money now, there is nothing he can hold over us if we choose to kick him back out. We are hearing a lot from relatives of my husband. Some good, some bad. Overall, they think I need to be more polite, but they agree he did this to himself. Now for the top comments. And that technically he was indeed a bastard. LMAO. Sheesh, what a story. Let us know if he finds out who his bio dad was. Not the a-hole. Plot twist? It was to help. Screw their polite. He wasn't polite when he basically called you a loose woman. Now that your son's trust is set up, you should give him as much respect as he has given you. And go no contact, because he's a grade A jackass. So he barges into your lives demanding a paternity test, accuses you of cheating, but you need to be more polite? I think the heck not. You're not the a-hole, and your father-in-law needs an attitude adjustment. Not sure why I'd want to continue tolerating somebody like that in your lives, but congrats on a free trust fund. Yep. I'm sick of this mentality where people are supposed to be polite to the person who have utterly trashed and disrespected them. That's complete and utter BS, and anyone who dared to suggest that to me would get a solid telling off. Be the better/bigger person equals get back on the floor, doormat. As long as the abusive person has a preferred target, nobody else has to deal with the mess. Opie and her dear husband aren't playing doormat. Good for them. Father-in-law wanted to play stupid games and won a stupid prize. Turns out he is the illegitimate one in the family. I find that hilarious. Not the a-hole. All parties agreed to the terms. Don't dish out if you can't take it. Father-in-law is lucky you let him back into your lives. So as long as everyone is respectful, then there should be no further issues. Mean words? Yes. Warranted? Absolutely. Next story. My ex left me the majority of his estate amounting to $700,000, and his parents demand that I leave it to his wife and child. My ex and I were together for almost 20 years. We never got married because it never felt necessary and we were child-free. I had problems with birth control, so I chose vasectomy. I found out that he cheated on me 3 years ago and I left him. He got with his affair partner. 6 months later, I heard that they were married. I found out that I was pregnant with my current boyfriend a year into dating, and even though we still weren't there in the relationship, we thought that we could make it happen. And sure enough, we are very happy, and we love our little family very much. My ex kept texting me on occasions like birthdays and holidays, which I never answered, but when he heard about my daughter, he sent me a lengthy and hurtful text about me cheating on him, and he never texted me again. I never answered. A few months later, my ex ended his life. This was about 4 months ago. His wife is apparently giving birth anytime now. I was surprised. I was contacted by a solicitor to tell me that I have inherited my ex's estate. He had left everything to me, besides some to his parents' pension and his nephew. I got a letter from him apologizing for what he did and saying that he loved me and wished me and my family happiness, and he wanted to help with that. Now, his wife and parents are very angry and demand that I leave them everything. I don't know. Would I be the a-hole if I kept it because that is what I want actually and what he wanted? 1. Hire a lawyer. 2. Get a lawyer to take care of the details. 3. Don't spend this money, as any and all money from the estate to them should have been taken care of by probate. But they may contest the will. 4. You are not obligated to give any of that money back unless ordered by the court. He had liquidated all his assets before he was gone, sold his house, etc. Everything is liquid assets. It sounds like he knew he'd been cheated on. As others have said, get a lawyer and a paternity test before you make any decisions. If you do decide to give the child any money, do so via a trust. Being that he married the affair partner, they may be in a place with presumptive paternity. Regardless, getting a legal professional to represent her interests is a must. Presumptive paternity doesn't mean Opie can't request they prove actual paternity in order to voluntarily gift some of her new money to the kid, especially since he got a vasectomy. Flip the script. They would give you nothing. Up to you if you want to keep it or ration it out. People get really weird about inheritance money and will actually destroy their own families over jealousy and such. If Opie decides to ration something out, only through a lawyer. In fact, all communication with the other party should be handled through a lawyer. We'll avoid a lot of nastiness that way. In case anyone reads this and actually tries it, don't be surprised when people refuse to talk to your lawyer. They want to put pressure on you, not your lawyer. I'm just saying, it might seem on Reddit like a mic drop conversation ender, but it is not. In addition to telling them to talk to your lawyer, you also have to have the discipline to never take the bait when they're calling. Don't pick up. Don't text back. Don't email back. They will say anything to get you to reply. Anything. People with this energy have energy for it every goddamn day. That means you have to have that nope energy every day too. You can block them on all socials and all channels, but they'll find other channels. Document all the crazy, but also don't be surprised when a judge doesn't care. Everyone is crazy to them, including you. The court most likely won't put someone in jail for what the other party's doing, even though it's abuse, potential contempt/harassment, etc. They'll just let you suffer it. Sorry it's like this. Been through it a few times. If people refuse to talk to your lawyer and continue to harass you, you can get a restraining order and make sure everything is documented through your lawyer. There are very clear measures to keep you above board, even if they keep sinking lower. If they don't talk through your lawyer, they don't get what they want. They may keep at it, but as long as you toe the line, there's nothing they can do about it. Next story. Am I the a-hole? My wife won't allow my 14-year-old to speak to her half-siblings and my parents, her grandparents. I have been married since 2007 to my second wife. When we met, I had 3 children from a previous marriage who at the time were 9 female and 5-year-old twins, son and daughter. Initially, my wife and kids get along well, but when we had our own daughter together, now 14, her attitude changed dramatically, as she played extreme favoritism. In 2017, my wife convinced me to move to another state, and my agreement with her was that I would continue to see my kids on a regular basis. But this turns out to be only a few times per year. Our daughter was prohibited communicating with her half-siblings and my parents, only on my side, but it is permitted with my wife's two older children. I have started to put my foot down that I want to take my daughter to see her older half-siblings and get to know her grandparents as they are getting up in years. My wife is insisting that such meetings cannot happen without her. My parents and older children are not ready to just accept my wife back into their lives, as there is a lot of relationship repair that needs to happen first. Am I the a-hole for insisting that my wife stays home and that my daughter should be able to see her family? P.S. My eldest has a wedding planned for the summer, and my wife wants to go, but my eldest doesn't want her there as they haven't even spoken in 11 years, and the relationship was very hostile prior to that. My wife and I just started some couples therapy this week. Now for the top comments. Everyone sucks here. You know exactly why your wife is. But what heck aren't you prioritizing your children? All of them. Why are you asking your wife's permission for your children to see you and each other? You just passively moved away from your children because your wife wanted to? You've just accepted her treating your kids like crap for 14 years. It only seemed to care enough to think about possibly doing something about it now that it's clearly affecting the kid you have with her too. Your other children are already adults aged 19 to 23, and they got there without you. This is essentially what happened with my dad/stepmom and my step/half-siblings. It's better now, but it still hurts. Parents have to advocate for their kids, and they can't let their partner dictate their relationship with them. Same, though my dad and his new wife are child-free. To go from being the center of a parent's world to being kicked off to the side then completely ignored except for tax and holidays hurts. It feels like the parents wanted a do-over with a new family. I'm honestly surprised OP's kids invited him to the wedding. I definitely wouldn't have. I guess there is some communication between him and them. Everyone sucks here. Your wife is a huge a-hole for alienating your kids and not allowing her child to know her siblings. You are an a-hole for allowing this. You have major damage to repair that is going to take time. If you continue to allow your wife to make rules regarding your children, you will lose those relationships altogether. I hope you're being honest with your couple's therapist and not sugarcoating this. Yeah, he's basically letting her steamroll their whole childhood experience in their family unit. She has extreme control issues, and he doesn't even seem to be fighting back for his own family. This would literally divorce-worthy for me if I had a partner trying to force literally any of this. No offense, but why the hell did you allow this to go on for so long? This is not okay. Your wife is an a-hole. Only thing we can say on this sub, and your kids deserve better than this woman. However, you are also the a-hole for allowing this to continue. No wonder why your wife isn't allowed at the wedding. Everyone sucks here. Because he thought with his man parts and basically abandoned his kids with his first wife. Honestly, if I was his kid, I wouldn't even talk to him. Last story. Am I the a-hole for publicly announcing that my aunt tried to use me as a child to get back at my mom? I, 19 female, looked just like my late maternal grandmother. She died when my mom was only a child, but she died leaving her husband and oldest daughter deeply traumatized by her behavior and her death. Her younger daughter, my aunt, was too young to remember her or anything about the life she gave her family. My grandmother did a lot of things that left their mark on the family, and my mom especially. To add to everything else, my mom is the one who found her mother at just 8 years old. So she has always carried that around with her. I only found out I looked just like her mother when I was 6, and my aunt told me I was just like her mommy, and she was showing me all these photos she had, and a childhood once really showed a resemblance. My aunt made a big point to tell me every single similarity we had. My mom never ever made me feel like I wasn't loved or like there was something wrong with me. The only reason I knew something was up was she wasn't able to hide the sadness in her eyes when she looked at me. I also did some snooping when I was little and heard her tell my dad about the struggle she had some days to see her mom's face in me. My aunt decided to use me to hurt my mom. When I was 12, she brought me to get my hair dyed behind my mom's back and pushed me to go blonde when I wanted pink hair. Turned out, my mom knew their mother is a blonde. I realized that when I saw my mom's eyes after seeing me with blonde hair. That was the point where I realized what my aunt was doing. There was other stuff before then, like she'd buy me clothes that were similar to what their mother would have worn. My aunt had a bunch of photos of her mother, so she knew the stuff she liked to wear. She gave me a nickname as a little girl and got me so into it I tried to use it with everyone. It was a nickname my grandmother was given by some people in her life. My mom really hated that name too. I heard her tell Dad later that night. My mom adored my aunt and thought they were super close. So when I did realize what my aunt was doing, I made sure to tell her I was onto her and wouldn't be trusting her anymore. She did attempt to do some more messed up stuff, but eventually I told my dad, and he told my aunt to leave me the heck alone. We didn't see her for years during COVID or after, but then Grandpa's birthday happened just before New Year's, and she approached me and tried to manipulate me into doing the same stuff. Changed my hair and how I dress, etc. I told her I knew what she was doing, and laughed at the idea of it being to hurt Mom. So I lost my temper and made sure everyone heard what she had done when I was a kid, and that she was trying to do it again. My dad and some other people there forced my aunt to leave, but not before she told me I was such a witch for spoiling the party and publicly humiliating her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. We need to normalize shaming people who try to manipulate people to hurt others. Also, social media is a good way to get the truth out. Cutting horrible people out of one's life should also be normalized. Aunt's behavior is heartless, to put it lightly, and absolutely psychotic, to put it honestly. My ex has people like this, and her entire family acted like it didn't happen. If you had a sexual predator in the family, you'd tell everyone so they could not violate children and mess them up for life. Emotional and mental assault. I want to elevate it from abuse to what it truly is. Assault is equally predatory and violating. You're still messing that child up, and if that graphic description makes it real to you, then understand that happened to my children before I was able to finally protect them. Your aunt may have inherited your grandma's mental health issues. You are right to protect yourself and your family by outing her. Shaming these horrible people out of a family and out of the public square needs to be a thing. She is to be an a-hole. You are protecting the next little girl or boy that predator tried mentally damage. You are a saint. You keep doing you. Props to you and your dad and family for backing you up and protecting the kids and family rather than the family name. Wish my ex has had that much class. As a dad has had to fix his kids, thank you. Not the a-hole. You got your grandmother's looks, but it seems your aunt got her personality. Quite the achievement, since she never knew her. Just tell her you were doing what she wanted and giving her a taste of grandma. If she was publicly humiliated by everyone knowing about her cruel little game, then it's probably time she looked in the mirror or went to a therapist for whatever messed up childhood resentment she held against your mom. Or don't bother. She obviously lives for the drama. Go back to ignoring her existence. It will probably annoy her more than any response.